city is taking centre stage in a new documentary.
Its intention is to kill sharks, to cull them.
The number of marine life that are dying, that's criminal.
A shocking new documentary is set to stir up debate about Queensland's shark control program.
It will cause controversy.
The shark control program.
Pressure is mounting on the state government.
100,000 signatures calling for the shark nets to be removed.
Envoy shark cull
features some of the biggest names in ocean conservation.
Envoy.
Hey team, Andre Burrell here, director and producer of Envoy Shark Cull, coming at you with another episode of the SharkNet podcast, probably the last for the year, I would say. The title of this one, which could well be the title of the campaign and could have been the title of the film, to be honest, is Politics, Politics, Politics. This whole issue, the entire issue of shark culling, shark nets, drum lines, it all comes down to politics. It's not about science, or we wouldn't even be discussing it anymore. It wouldn't exist anymore. It's not about community sentiment, same reason. It is literally a political issue. I know some people who campaign in this space and some organisations have to be careful around, political issues, endorsing political parties, things like that. And I totally understand that. However, we can't shy away from the fact that this is entirely a political issue. So 3 political updates to round out the year since the last episode. I think this will be important to digest the lay of the land, have a bit of a reflect on 2024 and think about the best path forward for 2025 to actually achieve some results. So, first political update, Queensland. There was an election in Queensland and the incumbent, Labor, lost, and Liberal, LNP, has formed government. They're now in power. That means who we need to speak to, who we need to target, who we need to tag in things, who we need to email, has changed. We now need to target, in our opinion, 3 key people: the new Premier, the new Minister for Primary Industries, formerly the Minister for Agriculture. So that's had a bit of a name change, and also the new Minister for Environment and Tourism. So, I'll tell you those 3 names because they're very key. We don't need to be tagging Mark Ferner anymore or Stephen Miles because they are not important anymore. They're not the decision makers anymore. They're no one's, I guess. They had the opportunity to do the right thing while they're in power. They didn't. Now we've got 3 new people to talk to and convince to do the right thing. So David Crisafulli is the new Premier. Anthony, but he goes by Tony. So Tony Perrett is the new Minister for Primary Industries, and Andrew Powell is the new Minister for Environment and also Tourism. So those portfolios are combined now, which is interesting. So I guess that's the first point: is stop tagging all the people we used to tag, stop emailing the people we used to email. They're gone, out. These new people are who we need to convince. I'm hopeful maybe that they will be better than the previous mob. However, look, traditionally speaking, and this is generalising a little bit, but usually LNP are not as good on environmental issues, maybe a little bit behind on environmental issues compared to Labor. So, it'll be interesting. I like to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. I like to, no matter who it is and how good or bad their track record is coming in, I like to give the benefit of the doubt. Before we go really hard on them, I like to see if they'll do the right thing. So we've obviously requested meetings with all 3. We would encourage you to do the same as well. And let's see how this falls out, how this falls into place as 2025 starts. Early 2025, we're expecting the independent review that KPMG have been doing on the whole shark control program to come out. We believe that'll be made public, and apparently that will inform changes to the program. I'll believe it when I see it, but like I said, I like to give the benefit of the doubt. So let's hope so. Let's hope the report is accurate, it sees the program for what it is, and it recommends the obvious paths forward, which is a modernisation of what is a very archaic program. Step 1, and then step 2, let's hope these 3 key decision makers don't block that for You guessed it, political reasons. So, okay, that's enough about Queensland. New South Wales. Right now is a critical time in New South Wales. So, if you recall, we've done a podcast episode on this, but I'll refresh your memory. If you recall, New South Wales made very, very minor changes to the program recently. They decided the shark nets would come out. Remember, New South Wales have a shark net season. They only really do it for half the year-ish, a bit over half the year, and they do come out for whale migration season, which doesn't happen in Queensland. So, tip of the cap, New South Wales, you're slightly better than Queensland, who are terrible in that respect. The slight changes that were announced recently is that meshing season, that shark netting season, would be 1 month shorter. So instead of 8 months, it will be 7 months. I guess that's a 12.5% improvement, if you want to look at it that way. That's good. However, they also announced a few other little bits and pieces, that there'll be more drone patrols over nets to check for bycatch, etc., etc., etc. Nothing major, nothing impressive. It's really just small moves to be seen to be doing something. What they also committed to in that process was to engage with local councils and local communities to see what the future of shark nets might be. They're doing that process right now. The 8 councils that do have shark nets in their areas, in their regions, are being asked for feedback. Now, we feel pretty good about this. They have been asked before, multiple times actually. They have been asked before, and generally speaking, it's pretty unanimous between all 8 of those councils that they don't want shark nets. Sometimes there's one that's a little bit of a tougher nut to crack. They're a little bit more set in their ways, maybe not as well educated on this topic, but generally speaking, the councils don't want them. Now, they've been asked before, and they've been ignored before. But from what I'm hearing, maybe this time they'll actually be listened to. Maybe. So, this is a really, really, really good time. If you live in any of those 8 council areas, and I'll read them out for you, to get in touch with your council and go, hey, I understand you've been asked by the New South Wales government to give you feedback on shark nets. We don't want them, and here's why. If you listen to this, you obviously know the topic pretty well. If you've seen the documentary, you know the topic pretty well. Articulate your own point. Make your own case in your own words, but the message is we don't want them. So the 8 councils are Waverley, that's where Bondi is, Bondi and Bronte. You don't need to contact them because they've already held their vote and they've already said we don't want them. So that's fantastic. Sutherland Shire, now you probably don't need to contact them either because that vote is happening tonight. We're hopeful that will go our way. They've been the tough nut to crack in the past. They've been a little bit more set in their ways. However, council elections just happened. There's some fresh blood in there. I'm hoping that goes the right way. Now, the other councils, Newcastle, Central Coast, Northern Beaches, Randwick, Wollongong, Lake Macquarie. If you're in any of those regions, if you visit any of those regions, reach out to those councils and make your feelings known, politely and professionally, of course. And let's hope, step 2, let's hope that the minister and the government will actually listen to them this time. Because this process has happened before and it was just simply ignored. However, from my understanding, they're actually taking it more seriously this time. Politics, number 3 out of the title of the episode, Politics, is a federal level. So the Greens, led by Senator Peter Whish-Wilson, who is a great advocate for the oceans and a great advocate for this campaign, recently announced the Greens' national policy on shark nets. I'm going to put a link in the show notes so you can read it yourself. However, I'm going to give you the highlights here. Now, the title of this press release, which I love, was Greens bid to end the culture war on sharks. Couldn't have said it better myself. That is literally what this topic has become, a culture war. One side says, this isn't okay, we need to modernise it. The other side says, no, humans before sharks, which we know is not true because it doesn't actually provide any real safety. It just becomes this political football. Media don't help. Media make it very divisive. Media do clickbaity headlines and they really fuel the flames of this culture war. So I love that. What a good way to put I guess what a good way to put it. Now, in terms of what they actually want to do, they've got a really, really good proposition in my eyes. So they, over the next 10 years, they want to fund $50 million worth of research and development on non-lethal shark control measures that can replace shark nets and drum lines. Now, I agree with this. However, that doesn't need to happen before getting rid of shark nets and drum lines. Shark nets and drum lines don't work. All of the non-lethal shark control measures that we could be putting in the water instead of them are already better than shark nets and drum lines. They're already there. However, we want to make them better than that. So I totally agree with funding to make them even better than they are now. However, as at today, right now, they're already better than shark nets and drum lines. So the funding is great. I totally support it. It can improve the technologies that already exist. It can create new technologies if there's money for research and development. But replacing shark nets and drum lines should not wait until that 10 years of research and development are done. It can be done today. $5 million to establish a national sharks working group across all states. Couldn't agree more. I would hope that there's also some things in place there to ensure that they're actually listened to. Unlike the scientific working group in Queensland, which are systematically ignored. I don't know why they exist. Unlike the Threatened Species Scientific Committee and the Fisheries Scientific Committee in New South Wales, which are systematically ignored. Don't know why they exist and why they have annual input into the programs. So totally agree with that concept. However, let's make sure they're listened to. $5 million, it is another $5 million to establish a publicly accessible national database of interactions with shark control measures critical for research, education, awareness programs. I couldn't agree more. Taronga Zoo run this. It used to be called the Australian Shark Attack File, I believe. It's now called the Australian Shark Incident Database. However, look, it can be better. It's not entirely publicly available. Sometimes you need to request the data. It is somewhat controlled. Now, it's not a criticism of Taronga Zoo. That's just how it is. So I agree with that. End federal exemptions used by the states for lethal shark control measures. This is the headline to me. It's the last bullet point, but this second last bullet point, sorry. But it is the headline. The only way the New South Wales program and the Queensland program can operate is because they're essentially, they operate under a loophole in the federal environmental legislation. These programs are illegal under federal environmental legislation. Full stop, period. End of story. There's no way if you tried to roll it out today that it would get an approval. The way they operate is under an approval, and we've touched on this before, so sorry if I'm repeating myself for those of you who know the topic well, is through Section 43B of the federal environment legislation. It basically says, if you, and I'm saying this in layman's terms here obviously, if you were doing something prior to the introduction of this act, which was in the year 2000, and you keep doing it in the same manner, you don't need permission. You don't need to get a permit. You just keep doing it. That's the loophole that these programs currently operate under. The Greens' point of ending those exemptions, I could not agree with more. You have had 25 years since the introduction of the EPBC Act, the Federal Enviro legislation, 25 years to get your house in order. There's no reason you should be able to operate under a loophole anymore. Either your program's solid environmentally, your house is in order, you should have to apply for a permit and actually get approved just like everyone else, or your house isn't in order, your program sucks, it doesn't meet modern community and environmental expectations, you should have to apply and get rejected. It's that simple. That is absolutely what should be happening. Now, there's some more nuance in this that I'm not going to go into here. Again, those who follow this topic will already know what I'm about to say, but there is some nuance here in that for that loophole to apply, you cannot have expanded, enlarged, or intensified your program. There's an argument that both have. We've got some stuff cooking on that. So, yeah, they may be breaching their own loophole that they use, but that's a discussion for another day. The final bullet point is have the ACCC, that's the Australian Consumer Watchdog basically, investigate all existing shark mitigation technologies for efficacy and establish national advertising and product promotion standards. Couldn't agree more. Some really good products out there that have science behind them. They're backed by peer-reviewed papers. They're really, really solid. And there is some that are not And I think the claims that those products can make, respectively, should be different. So I totally agree with that as well. So, that's the update on Queensland. That's the update on New South Wales. And that is the update on federally what the Greens are doing to do something about this issue. That's a lot of information. This is probably one of the longest side podcasts, maybe the longest one we've done. So I'm going to leave it there. But that's some information to think about going into the new year. It's the lay of the land in the 2 states that kill sharks for the supposed reason of beach safety, and that's the lay of the land federally as well going into the new year. So take that in, digest that, reach out. We're always here for a chat. We're always here to bounce ideas, and as you kind of put your feet up, hopefully, and have a bit of a break over the festive season, the new year period, Christmas, if you celebrate Christmas, take all that in, take everything that's happened in 2024 in, and have a really good think about what can I do on a personal level? What can I do in 2025 to help end these programs? It's insane that we're still having this discussion. It's insane that they still exist. And I would love for 2025 to be the year that they end. It's possible. It's not likely, but it's possible. New South Wales may well listen to the council feedback and get rid of shark nets. May happen with enough pressure. In Queensland, it's possible that this KPMG report comes out, says what we all know, current program sucks, these are the better ways to do it, and that the new government, the new LNP government, the ministers I mentioned, listen. It's possible that at a federal level, the Greens get traction with this proposal. We close those EPBC Act loopholes as well as the other recommendations they're making. And even if New South Wales and Queensland don't want to play ball, they're forced to, because the loophole that they use and, dare I say, abuse, is closed. That's all possible, but it will only happen with massive action and massive pressure. So please, 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 take the New Year period to have a bit of a reflect. What have you done this year? What can you do next year? And let's all work together to finally, hopefully in 2025, put an end to these 2 stupid, ineffective, archaic programs that only exist for one reason and one reason only. And it's the podcast title, Politics. Take care, everyone. Stay safe over the holiday period, and we'll talk in the new year. Thank you.
My first time swimming with a tiger shark was on the Gold Coast, and she was literally taking her last breaths in front of us.
For 83 years and counting, we've been running the world's longest marine cull.
It is just off our coastline, but it's so hidden from the public.
You're afraid naturally of something that you don't know. They're actually the real victims and the ones that have something to fear.
Its intention is to kill sharks, to cull them.
It is absolutely archaic that we're relying on a program that was devised in 1930.
I hope to think every Australian can think like this.
It's not a solution by any means. They're just killing sharks.
People are unaware that this device is a fishing device.
We're killing in the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park.
I think once people realize what's happening, how senseless the killing actually is, I think they should be outraged about what is happening to Australia's beautiful natural resources.
We're the government and we are keeping you safe from this big scary thing.
They have no education in, no background in, and don't know what they're doing.
It is in effect a gag order, and it's near impossible to get any footage underwater.
Observations and concerns about the safety of the operation and potential jeopardy that you put.
What if our ignorance is about to wipe them out?
There's a good chance this documentary may actually start its own feeding frenzy.